Shut up and sit down.
Hello everyone, and welcome into a read out short clip here. This is from our latest episode. Hope you enjoy. I guess we'll kind of transition over into basketball right now. And I want to start with the sad news that I heard today. I think, Ross, you posted that with Courtney Bivens passing away.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, I just want to go ahead and just say, our thoughts and prayers go out to her family. It's a tragedy, and she was taken far too young, and the entire situation is just ridiculous. I'm sorry. She was taken far too young, and, our prayers are with you.
Pretty messed up. It
is, and it's... we can talk off air about what my thoughts on it, but the women played. Of course, they have got one of the hardest first half of the seasons I've seen in a long time. They played Louisville, lost 102-80. They played Oklahoma, they lost 90-83, which those are all Power 5 teams. And then they played Iowa at Western, and it was 104-67.
They hosted 2 of those games.
Do what now?
I said they hosted 2 of those games.
Yeah, and of course, as always, make sure that you are supporting the Lady Tops because they need your support. Those young ladies are playing their hearts out for you, and I mean, these are some big games, and not many times do you get to go to Diddle and watch a number 5 team and a number 13 team come to Bowling Green. So
yeah, I mean, watching top 20 teams play, regardless of the outcome, is super cool.
Looks like
something crazy about their next opponent. So you think, okay, they played Louisville, Oklahoma, and Iowa. Oh, they get to play the Chippewa. It's kind of a step down in competition. Well, Central Michigan's coming off of a Sweet 16 team, so I mean, just murderer's row. And then Southern Illinois, and then Oregon State, who just blasted them in the tournament last year. It's like Greg Collins has got his work cut out for him this first year.
So, Ross, I'll ask you like what I asked last week. Let me check here. It doesn't say. Yeah, okay. So, Oregon State, would they not be the Lady Beavers?
Oh my God, the Lady Beavers.
I love it.
I hope so. Quick aside, anything with beavers, the funniest name for a bar or strip club. I had a buddy whose mom lived in Columbia, Tennessee. Apparently, there was a bar there called the Muddy Beaver.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
No.
Yeah.
That is probably like the nastiest thing I've ever heard in my life.
I was in Columbia, Tennessee too. So yeah.
Yeah, that adds on to the whole nastiness. The Muddy Beaver.
I just checked the women's basketball team's wiki page for Oregon State, and it doesn't say Lady Beavers, or I think they're just the Beavers, which still isn't that much better. I just want to throw that out there.
No, I agree.
Just the Beavers.
Yes, yeah. If it is truly the Lady Beavers, that's really got to be they've got to change that name. So great. Of course, I just think that. Of course, I'm a child at heart anyway, so anything with beaver in it, yeah, exactly. We're not going to grow up. We're just we get bigger. Yeah, like you said, Ross, the ladies are going to play Central Michigan on the 17th at 1:00. And looks like they got Southern Illinois Salukis on the 20th, and then Oregon State on the 22nd. So that's Thanksgiving, isn't it?
I just hope that people don't get too disheartened about the early season struggles because you're talking new coach. They did lose quite a bit of talent, even though they still have a really good roster. And look, they're going to be fine in conference. I honestly think this is still going to be a really good season and going to be a really good team. I don't know about tournament. I don't know about the postseason, but I'm not that worried about the season, to be honest.
I'm good with the Murderer's Row start of the schedule because you're getting paid.
Well, yeah, that and the strength of schedule for postseason is going to be a lot better. So that's going to go into your like NET rankings, and then you're talking about getting better, right? That old cliche like iron sharpens iron, that's legit a thing. When you play better teams and don't just beat up on scrubs, you do get better by the time the end of the season rolls around.
And I know, Jake, we talked about this last year a little bit. Last year their strength of schedule wasn't there. They played like Mississippi Valley State and some of these teams that we had never heard of before, and it's really difficult to talk about teams you've never heard of. And
that's true.
I want to say
they had a few, like I think they played one ranked team early on. I can't remember who it was. I want to say it was like Missouri. They ranked like 22nd or 25th or something. I do remember that because it was a fairly close game, at least for part of it. But I don't recall them having a lot of super front-loaded schedule like they do.
Women's basketball is just a weird game, too, just because it's so top-heavy. I mean, basically you have the top 5 that are just, world beaters. And then after that, there's just a huge drop-off between, 6 and 25 or 6 and 40. And then after that, even a bigger drop-off. It's just, Western's basketball women's team's got such a good history, but, I just kind of doubt we'll ever get back to kind of where we were back in the day, just because, you gotta, losing Michelle Clark-Hurd was just a big deal, and just, we've had so much success even relatively over the past decade, and can't even get out of the first round. It's just kind of disheartening a little bit, and that's why I think she left.
I completely agree. I just wish that our women's basketball was as good as our volleyball.
Conference tournament this weekend for volleyball.
Awesome, yeah, great. We're getting all the news on tonight.
2 seed.
We are a 2 seed. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the 1 seed? Any idea?
Where's it at? Isn't it at Marshall?
Yeah.
Well, that could be your 1 seed then. I don't know. Are you looking that up right now? I'm guessing, Jake.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I hear typing, so I'm assuming someone's typing.
That was
maybe both of us. Because I can hear it too.
First, Rice.
Rice is number 1. Okay. Wow. Okay.
21-6, Rice. We finished 20-9. So.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it goes Rice, FAU, UTSA. So as far as conference standing goes, and it's it's a pretty decent tie there, third.
Awesome. So kind of change gears real quick. Looks like Western beat UTM, which, by the way, it was a pretty close game, surprisingly, up until, well, basically the whole game looks like 86-71. What we got giggling?
I don't know. I was not a fan of the game. I was a little miffed. I wasn't able to watch it. Which I
so do you guys get Louisville cable channels, or what do you guys get in E-Town?
Yes, we get Louisville. So
you guys know you can watch every Western basketball game on channel 20, or I guess WDNA 21 or whatever. So just a good FYI.
That's out of Southern Indiana, and I do not get that one. Just FYI, but that's because
I'll have to look that up because I don't know. Jake is Amish, so he doesn't have cable. He just goes off internet.
You're have to stream.
But
I can find illegal streams of it, guys. But I try to not fiddle with it.
No, Jake is a good person who doesn't do stuff like that.
Don't worry about it.
I will have to look that up to see if I get that channel. But we kind of get in our household, we get basic cable. We haven't splurged on the other, and we just kind of do Hulu for everything else. So.
So I did watch the whole game because I had the recap while I was watching the football game the other night, and I mean, it was a slow start. I mean, UT Martin came out shooting really hot from 3. I think Western trailed by 19. I'm looking at my recap right now, 19-12 after the first 5 minutes, and that was without Deshaun Murray on the floor. And then kind of once we decided to put him in, it kind of turned the whole part of the game. Still pretty sloppy. We didn't really put them away. I mean, we only won by 16 or 15 against a probably bottom half of OVC team. But I mean, I think we're still trying to figure out lineups and still trying to get over the previous week's pot suspensions and all that kind of stuff. So We just got to, Jake, you can talk about the Myrtle Beach tournament, but starting tomorrow, I think that's where we're going to really see how much this team's come together over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, I kind of.
Well, since you,
I was going to say, I just kind of.
Myrtle Beach tournament. There is a. I shared this on our Twitter. There is a really interesting article, a short little article, but one nonetheless, from Busting Brackets that I was going to talk about because they believe that Western is going to win the thing.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, wow was my first thing too. I was like, wait, really? What?
Yeah. Well, I'll let you talk a little bit about that. What makes them think that Western will take the Myrtle Beach Invitational?
Well, it's interesting because what they talk about is they kind of assume that we're going to get past Valpo without a lot of trouble. Now, one of the things that I saw that the Daily News shared was that Western, as far as the odds go, Western's a 4-point favorite against Valpo in that opening game. And
I'm going to lay
do
down
understand.
on that.
Say that again, Ross?
I said I'm going to lay down on that bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, on one side, like I get it. They have a really dumb loss early, which we can talk about, and aren't world beaters by any means this year. But at the same time, I think a lot of people are reading Western's talent, not reading Western's play, right? There's a lot of talent. You've got Charles Bassey, who was just this absolute monster, but his plus minus hasn't been that good. If you look at the Martin game, we didn't play really good 3-point defense against them early on. They had been a hot shooting team coming in, hitting 10 threes in their previous game. Now, they didn't in this game. They didn't end up hitting 10 threes. They ended up hitting 8 threes. They went 8 of 25 from beyond the arc, but at the same time, Western didn't come out and really assault on defense the way that they needed to. And I think it kind of goes back to what Ross says. They're still trying to figure out lineups. You had, and I think it was intentional that Nelson started over Murray because Nelson hadn't been caught smoking weed yet. God, knock on wood somewhere. So I think that was a little bit. I think that was a kind of a part of it. You saw when Murray got in that he really was able to take over, and he attempted the most shots. He tied for hitting the most shots. But as far as winning the Myrtle Beach Invitational, what they think is that they're going to roll past Valpo. They're going to face up against West Virginia, who's going to roll in their first game, and they honestly tie it to Tavion and Bassey. I think Tavion is going to do what he does, which is go up and under and scoop past you and score. And I think Charles Bassey is going to get more double doubles and be a problem for the West Virginia bigs inside. Now, my question is, and I've just been looking at Valpo. I haven't looked yet at West Virginia. But West Virginia always has a really strong press. They always are a very athletic team. And I'm interested to see how... Go ahead, Ross.
Yeah, that's what scares me. I don't trust Josh Anderson to be able to break the press. I mean, I think you got to play somebody like Hollingsworth at the point if you really want to trust somebody. Because, I mean, if we had Beard, I'd feel really confident about the West Virginia matchup. But, I mean, Buffalo beat them last week. They had a senior point guard in Massenberg, and they beat them in Morgantown. I just don't know if we're going to have the point guard play to overcome that. I don't trust Bannon at all. Bannon is not ready yet.
He's a baby.
And Josh Anderson, he just gets too hyped, and he'll come up with 2 early fouls. I'm scared to death of this West Virginia matchup.
Yeah, and that was my main thing is that I just and I said this before. I guess kind of to you guys and around. I haven't talked about it on the air, but I'm nervous about point guard play until Bearden comes back. I don't think we have a good answer, to be honest with you. I was surprised when in the offseason and in the preseason that Anderson was kind of looked to as that answer at the point. But I just do not see him, mentality-wise, I guess personality-wise, he doesn't seem like a point guard. He seems like a 2 or a 3, kind of an attack dude. I don't see him as a facilitator, and like you said, I don't see him being able to break that press because, as we know, Huggy Bear is real good at that.
I agree with you guys. I think, going against West Virginia, those coal miner guys are going to be real tough, but we'll see.
I'm just having nightmares. I don't remember. Do you guys remember that Harper game against Virginia Commonwealth? Probably 3 or 4 years ago, one of his last years. We had like Kevin Caspar trying to break the press, and it was the biggest bloodbath I'd seen in a while. I'm really nervous about that on Friday as long as we get past Valpo.
I'm just hoping that everybody has moved out of the Kentucky Street apartments that there is no issues.
Please.
But
here's a fun stat for you. Speaking of the not being able to defend the three, I was just looking at Valpo's first game of the season, and where they lost to Indy, whoever that is, 60-57. They only shot 8 of 24 from three. So, that was Indy. Sorry.
Oh my gosh, dude! I was going to say
Valpo was because okay, that's bad, but it's not the worst. Valpo they shot 19 threes. They hit. Anybody want to guess? Guess how many they hit?
10.
2.
No, Ross. Close. 3. They hit 3 of 19 from downtown. So, if we're worried about so hopefully Valpo does not get super duper hot and light it up from 3. I feel a little better about that now that I've looked at that box score.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So never mind. ESPN is really slow.
Let's talk about recruiting too before we change gears too, since today was signing day.
Yeah, go for it, bud.
Yeah.
So I know we signed 2 guys today. Cozart, Madison Central, Richmond area.
Yes.
The soon-to-be all-time leading shot blocker. Then we signed that 6'5" guard out of what was that? Clinton County, Jackson
I think it was
Harlan.
Clinton County.
Great name, great Southern name.
Hey, I'm excited about both those guys. I wrote the big board for them. Of course, I don't have it in front of me right now, but Isaiah Cozart he's a beast, and I know it may take a year or so for him to come in and kind of get comfortable with the speed of the game and everything in college, but I think he can really be a threat and an asset for Western, really, to come in and play ball. He's going to be a good kid.
I like that at the shot blocking. That's always good for me.
Oh, I love it. I love the quote Anthony Davis style play that these kids are doing. But. Hey, I'm all for it. It makes for so much more exciting games. What I was actually about to say, I was just kind of scrolling down from the Western basketball news. This thing has been going on since I was in college, like 10 years ago. The Italian court says that the WKU mascot case has merit. Do you all know what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. That's
what
I could tell. Now, I don't know how recent that piece of news. Oh, we got a robot. Speaking of Italian courts.
No, I got Ross calling. Hold on 1 second.
Oh, did we lose him?
I guess we lost him. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, you're good.
While you're doing that, I can kind of lay out that case. I don't know how recent that article is, but it was earlier in the year where that case had been kind of tabled, and they re-brought it up again. And a new Italian judge, who's now hearing the case, actually says that he wants to get to the case on the merits. He doesn't just want to dismiss it for procedure, under procedure, which is what the former courts did, which is kind of a huge deal because the amount in controversy was several $1 million, which would be a huge windfall not only for the creator but also for WKU because they would get tons of money.
Ross, can you hear us, buddy?
I'm back, guys.
Okay, good. Let me get your volume back up here.
I was going to say, he is mouse quiet.
Can you hear us now, buddy?
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
So, were you guys talking about the Italian thing?
Yes, we're talking about the Italian court. And that's, I know
Is there news on that?
That's what I was just talking about. The Italian court that WKU had, kind of filed their suit in says that the WKU mascot case has merit. So I guess they're going to start looking into it.
Yeah, well, what I was saying, Ross, before we lost you, was that initially it had been kind of tabled. Not necessarily because it didn't have merits, but because a lot of times they always taught us you want to win on procedure, don't even get to the merits, so don't even get to the meat of the matter, just win on you filed in the wrong court, or you don't have the right amount in controversy, or whatever. You can't actually bring the case. And now they're saying, oh, yeah, we absolutely should hear this on the merits. We should listen and see if this random American dude with this big red blob has a case, which is insane, not because it doesn't have merit, because I think it does, because the Italians are known for they're kind of like they're the European version of like Chinese knockoffs. The Italians, they love to do that. But it would be a huge windfall for both the creator and like WKU as an institution. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, and of course, I remember from back in the day, the Herald wrote an article about it, and that's the only reason I remember this, is that they said that the case would probably be buried because of the way the, quote, corruption of the Italian courts are, but who knows. Hope you enjoyed the clip from our latest episode. Subscribe for our weekly Red Out podcast. And always remember, go Tops.